seat. We'll get the rock and roll going.
Okay, at first. It works well. It's an easy night. It's great. And it moves easily, so that's good. Marty's going to be doing helping with the system, so he's just going to come out back around. Because he doesn't want you to do anything. But I should have brought a pen up here with me.
You did pen?
I just should have brought one. Well, we'll just leave it here if that's okay. Is it alright if we just put it down? Because I need to add back here.
Can't get my nose on camera, I just did that.
No. Just scratched.
If everyone would please have a seat.
45 minutes. Just raise it.
Evening, everyone. Francis and I are truly honored to be here to thank the Creditors for 21 years as spiritual and emotional backbone of our congregation. We want to recognize some special guests tonight. Rabbi Ben Romer and his wife Karen from Orami. Reverend Carolyn Schwartz and her husband Ken from 7th Street Christian Church. Rabbi Roya Shafin and his wife Shoshana. Shafin from Oratid, excuse me. And Reverend Charles Swadley and his wife Susan from Lakeside United Methodist Church.
And I have the distinct honor of introducing the family of Rabbi Creditor. I can't even see you. Where are you? Oh, man, this is a real drag being up here. Okay. The very first and the most important person here beyond our rabbi and his lovely big family is his mama, Clara Creditor. This woman is strong like ox. She's good. And of blessed memory, Henry Creditor, the rabbi's father, and the infamous philatelist. So we're sorry that he is not with us. Bruce and Susan Creditor, the rabbi's brother and sister-in-law, and their children, Yael and Stephen Polikoff, rabbi's niece, and Avi Creditor and his friend Joyce Burkett, Rabbi's nephew, and Rabbi's children. Menachem and Liz and their children, which you met downstairs, Ariel, Moshe, and Raya. Sierra Creditor and her fiancé, Arsen Astrosky, and from Israel. And remotely, and we can wave to Japan, Lieutenant and also chaplain in the U.S. Navy stationed in Okinawa, Yonina Creditor, who will join us from a telephone. I also want to thank Rabbi and Ruby's friends who came from far and wide to join us. We have people here who must really love and respect you a lot more than we suspected. And it's Larry's turn. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Amy's turn.
Oh. Okay. And we do want to thank everyone that made this special evening possible. The three chair people, Judy Crocker, Bonnie Walensky, and Benita Felmis, who have not slept in a week or more. Gail Plotkin for leading the tribute book project. Jack Halpern, who hasn't slept also for a few days, for preparing and donating a delicious dinner. and all the chairs and the volunteers of all the committees that it took to make tonight happen for their hours of work and donation.
What kind of giant are you? We have one. We do have one oversight. I did not know that Rabbi Blackfield was here. So thank you, Rabbi Blackfield, for joining us from Beth Ahava. And wait, we have another. You can't mouth. I don't read lips. Oh, wow, cool. And Rabbi Beck Berman. Does anybody else just want to stand out and do a shout out? Did I miss? I must have missed somebody. Well, I do apologize if I did. I do want to thank the people without whom every day this cannot happen, and that's the professional staff. Jane Sklon, our executive director. Then Norma Fiedler, Krista Fidlow, Debbie Lax-Hanner, Josephine Harris, who you can never thank enough, and Chris Maffei, and Edith Levin, who just recently retired. And of course, Chazan Marion Turk, who's looking lovely tonight, is going to grace us with music in a short time.
I have to keep taking my glasses on and off. I can't read with them. We move now into the heart of our evening, our tribute speakers. Our first is the president of Temple Bethel Board of Governors and the longstanding member, Rita Ruby.
Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight for this lovely evening. Good evening to everyone, and especially to the Rabbi's family and friends who've come from out of town. It's so wonderful to have you here. One personal privilege, I have to say this, wahoo wah. And now,
wait a minute.
no, there's no counterpoint. I am honored to have the opportunity to publicly express my thanks to Rabbi Creditor for all, I'm so bad at this, for all he has meant to this community. As current president of Bethel, I speak on behalf of our current Board of Governors, but also as a representative of all of our past presidents and board members and the congregation as a whole. I also speak from the heart as a representative of the Ruby family, because everything that you have been to our community, you have also been to us personally. Since my remarks must be brief, I want to highlight in particular certain qualities that Rabbi Creditor has contributed to our community and roles he has played that have left an indelible mark that will last far beyond his past 2 decades plus of service here. These are the things that I think of, especially when I think of the Rabbi, and I believe they are the things that so many others of us do as well. First, we think of Rabbi Creditor as our teacher. Whether we've experienced that in his Talmud, basic Judaism or Torah classes, in informal learning on a Shabbat morning, in a visit from an area school or program at the JCC, or in a Sunday morning confirmation class. I experienced learning with the Rabbi as a member of the adult B'nai Mitzvah program, and when a period of illness had me out for an entire semester and missing preparing to chant the Haftorah, rather than let me miss out on this special moment, the Rabbi tutored me gently and patiently so that I could join my class on the Bima. And for me, it was a life-changing moment. Second, Rabbi has been here with us to celebrate the special moments in our lives: marriages, baby namings, Brit Milah, anniversaries, birthdays, installations, Simchat Torah honors, and B'nai Mitzvah. And time after time on these occasions, he has spoken to the child, the couple, the individual, with words that came straight from his heart and touched ours. He was there with all 3 of our children when they became B'nai Mitzvah, 2 of whom came home from Atlanta and New York because they wouldn't miss this chance to honor you. Third, Rabbi has also stood by our side during the difficult moments in our lives, through illness, personal hardships, family struggles, and the loss of people whom we love. And there are two qualities that he has brought to those painful and trying times that are particularly special. He has been a gentle listener at a time when we most need to be heard. And at funerals in particular, he has spoken to our souls and has captured the essence of our loved ones in his beautiful eulogies. Finally, while with more time, there are many more qualities I would want to highlight. I must pay tribute to Rabbi Creditor for the way in which he has supported our congregation in these past 2 years. I know that Rabbi Creditor has been a source of support and collaboration for temple leaders throughout his tenure, but that was never more apparent than in his selfless willingness to postpone his retirement for this year and stay on as our rabbi while we continued our search. When the rabbi told me of his decision to stay, he explained that he loved and cared deeply about this congregation and its future. And while it meant changing a variety of personal and family plans, ultimately he knew that he needed to be here for us in this moment. And of course, that sacrifice didn't just affect him. It affected the rest of the family. When I saw Rabbi and Ruby's son Menachem, when he came to Richmond shortly after the rabbi's decision, I told him that I was sorry, because I knew in particular that this postponed retirement meant that Rabbi and Ruby could not be with Menachem and his family in California for the High Holy Days as they had planned and looked forward to. And Menachem replied that it was okay, because that is the kind of man his father is, and he wouldn't want it any other way. That says it all. And on that note, before closing, I must add our congregation's special thanks to Menachem, Yonina, and Seira, to the rabbi's mother, and especially to Ruby. You all know more than we ever could the personal challenges and sacrifices of sharing your father, son, and husband with the congregation on a 24/7 basis. We know that you are infinitely proud of the man that he is, but we also know it's not always easy. And so we thank each of you. So, Rabbi, for all that you have done for us and all that you have been for us, there are not words to adequately express. I can only say thank you for being our teacher, our counselor, the person we've laughed with, and shoulder we've cried on. Thank you for being a rabbi.
And if you get a chance, check out the killer shoes that Rita's wearing.
Our next distinguished speaker, Rutledge Dennis, Professor of Sociology and Anthropology at George Mason University, congregant of Temple Bethel, a close friend of Rabbi Creditor's, his partner in intellectual discourse, Rutledge Dennis.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here tonight. Departing is always a sad time, and yet departing offers new opportunities and new challenges. And we hope that these challenges and opportunities will be available and will be available to Rabbi and Ruby. This is to the Rabbi and Ruby with love. Thanks for the memory. I speak not only for myself, but for those who were once a part of this great synagogue who are no longer here, and many of us know who they are. When Rabbi Creditor, the younger, spoke this morning about the work required to put the tabernacle in operation, I think he may have used the word the team that put together all the pieces that made up the tabernacle. That's a very crucial word, the team. Because when I think of the Rabbi and Ruby, I think of a team. A wonderful team that played an extraordinary role in advancing our Jewish education and our spiritual life at Temple Bethel. When Arlene emailed me to request a few words, I began to think what comes out immediately about the Rabbi and Ruby. And I think about the cassette tapes that they gave us years ago. Remember those tapes? It's been a long time. But I would often take these tapes out and I would laugh and smile even as I went through the rituals and the Hebrew lessons and the prayers. And what struck me most is the interplay between the Rabbi and Ruby, even when they were not together in the same room. They were advancing both Judaism, but it told us something about them and their special relationship. And what strikes me, among many things, is the playfulness with which they taught us. The playfulness of Judaism went a long way into furthering for us the joys of Judaism. The laughter when they goofed, the laughter when we goofed. It was all a reminder that to be Jewish is to be human. And they both had that very special version of Jewish humor. But not far behind would be the special version of Jewish seriousness. When I think of the Rabbi and Ruby, I think of the special programs that they both enjoyed along with us. I enjoyed the utter chaos, and the fun we had in trying to rearrange the library up on the second floor. It was wonderful chaos, joyous chaos. But we enjoyed every moment of it. I think of the art gallery on the second floor, and the art gallery dinners, and the fun, and the visitors. I think of the musical concerts, and the dinners following those concerts, again, and the fun. And the Rabbi and Ruby were always there. They comprised the team, just as the Israelites constructed the tabernacle. They were the team. They were the glue that kept us in laughter and in seriousness. So I want to thank the Rabbi and Ruby. Thank you for your devotion, your spiritual insights, your timeless energy, because you have enabled us to grow spiritually and intellectually, and we thank you for the memory. Thank you.
Thank you, Rutledge. That was beautiful. few people speak as eloquently, and I feel odd following something like that. So I'd like to introduce, are you there? Yes. I'd like to introduce Reverend Carolyn Schwartz, pastor at the 7th Street Christian Church. Reverend Schwartz currently serves with Rabbi Creditor on the Interfaith Council of Greater Richmond, one of the outlets for Rabbi Creditor's passion for bringing Judaism's tenets of working toward the greater good to fruition. For anyone that doesn't know, Rabbi received the Good Guy Award from his special social consciousness activism from the Interfaith Council recently, and I was lucky enough to be there to watch him receive that. He got it for being so incredibly involved in all the things he speaks to us about from here or from there. One of them that really struck me was that he really is the kind of guy that will lie down on the job for any reason, including the Capitol grounds themselves, and risk being arrested for his activism. So, Rabbi, thanks. Reverend Schwartz.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me to be with you as we have this wonderful celebration gala in honor of Rabbi Creditor. I am your neighbor up the street at 7th Street Christian Church, just up the street here on Grove. And I just want to say personally how I know from a personal firsthand experience of my own ministry of how important it is when a congregation allows their spiritual leader into their lives. It's a holy honor to become a part of the lives of those who make up one's faith community. And Rabbi Creditor has been invited by you into the rich, holy moments of your lives, from the morning cry of a baby to the bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah of a young person moving from childhood to adulthood. Your rabbi has been there to celebrate with you the weddings and has prayed at hospital bedsides and held vigils with you as a loved one took their last breath. So these are the holy moments. It's always an honor for your spiritual leader to be invited into your lives. He has led the worship through the rhythms of your holy days and the seasons of the year. And it was in the seasonal rhythm of a year 5 years ago when I first met this very fine man. I was new to Richmond and got this phone call that it was time for the West End Interfaith Alliance to meet because it was time to plan the ecumenical Thanksgiving service. So I came to the meeting, the first one right here at Temple Bethel, and came into a room where there was a circle of clergy, and right there in the middle of it was this very fine person with a wonderful, joyous smile on his face and a warm twinkle in his eyes saying, "Welcome." At that first meeting, I was duly drafted, chosen to give the sermon right here that year in 2008. It has come to embody for me one of the most, it just happens to be one of the most favorite things I can do all year, to come together with my clergy colleagues and to worship together, to be that expression of ecumenism, and where we come together and nurture that appreciative understanding of each other's faith paths. Now, I often think about Richmond as a big, small town because you can run into people in many places, and soon I was running into Gary at the hospital when he'd be sitting in a surgical waiting room with a family, and I was sitting with a family. We would run into each other at different interfaith clergy breakfast of the interfaith group that we were just talking about. And there were always those times when we would see each other, and there was always those moments when we had a chance to catch them and find out how our faith communities were doing, our congregations, our lives. And over time, a friendship was able to be forged, a friendship that I value greatly. Through the years, it's been a privilege as your rabbi has brought students to 7th Street Christian Church every year to learn about Protestant Christian worship as part of the preparations. We have sat around a library table to discuss elements of worship and the symbols of our worship and what are the common things that we hold together and the meaning of the services. And I've brought members of a Sunday school class here to be part of the Shabbat services here. We came one time last June for what we thought was going to be the last bar mitzvah. I'm glad that we had another year. But in all of these interactions, an ever-deepening appreciation for each other's traditions has been forged, and I'm grateful for these opportunities to connect in a very meaningful relationship. The influence of Gary is felt throughout this city. In 2011, Temple Bethel hosted the 10th anniversary observance of 9/11, which included clergy and spiritual leaders of all walks, including the Imam of the Muslim Center here in Richmond. He has been this compelling example of the core belief that religion can be a bridge of cooperation rather than a barrier of division, and has embodied a true sense of this appreciative understanding among our many faiths that has been forged in our city and has been through much of your efforts. I wish you well, my friend, upon your retirement. I will miss your leadership for the West End Interfaith Thanksgiving service, but I will be looking forward to seeing you at those services. You have welcomed me into Richmond as your friend, and you have expressed the grace and the joy of serving the one who is the Lord of hosts. So I pray blessings upon your retirement, that it would be fruitful and joyful and relaxing and full of all the things that you would love to do. So as you embark upon this next part of your journey, I am praying blessings upon you. And I pray as well for Temple Bethel as you have prepared for your new rabbi. Now, in my tradition, the disciples of Christ, we come from roots in Scotland and Ireland, so I would like to close my thoughts with a Celtic blessing for a friend. I wish you a rainbow for sunlight after showers and miles of goodwill and smiles, for golden happy hours, shamrocks at your doorstep, for luck and laughter too, and a host of friends that never ends each day of your whole life through. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Schwartz. One correction, it's the Interfaith Council on Public Policy that gave Rabbi the Good Guy Award, which isn't called the Good Guy Award, but I can't remember what it was called. So it's a little more politically active, perhaps, than the Interfaith Council on being religious. So, sorry. Our next guest, and Rutledge made reference to this, our next guest is someone who Rabbi shares a whole lot of time with, at least in their building and around the grounds they help with. Mr. Kerry Bliley, who's president and CEO of Bliley's Funeral Home, and an old, reliable friend of Rabbi Creditor's. Mr. Bliley.
Rabbi, I have to say that tonight, my remarks, it was kind of hard when I was looking at things to not turn this into a eulogy, which I have a whole lot more experience with.